Let's move on to the fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets sent in to us by Geeky Gator, who writes, "Hey, John. I saw James Gunn post on Twitter that Feige and other Marvel producers sent him a start of production gift for the Suicide Squad. They seem supportive of him at DC, and he is planning to go make Guardians of the Galaxy 3 afterwards. So do you think Gunn will have to decide between Marvel and DC, or will he be able to continue to make movies for both?" All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, Geeky Gator. And listen, I think I've made no secret about this. I think one of the greatest things to happen to the comic book movie genre has been the fact that right now we have a great director in James Gunn, at the same time working on and planning to work on a Marvel movie and a DC movie. I think it's one of the greatest things ever to happen to the comic book genre. I really do. I think it's fantastic. And hopefully that would mend a lot of fences between the still existent toxic blind corporate Marvel zombie slaves and blind corporate DC slaves. Hopefully, I think that'll go a long way. And I would love to see more of it in the future. Now, getting to what Geeky Gator said in his message, what's this about Feige sending him as a gift? Yeah, the folks at Marvel, including Kevin Feige, sent a start of production celebration gift to James Gunn for him starting production on a DC movie. This is what James Gunn wrote on social media. He wrote, "Starting production on the Suicide Squad, I received perhaps the coolest and sweetest start of production gift ever, along with a note of how excited they are for this DC movie from Kevin, obviously this is Kevin Feige, Lou, Victoria, Mary, and Jonathan at Marvel Studios. They made me this incredible scrapbook of our journey so far in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a thick tome packed with memories that brought a tear to my eye." So right there in that first thing, we're going to look at another quote from James Gunn here in a second. That's going to be kind of the main thrust of what we're talking about. So not only is Marvel okay with the fact that he's off doing a DC movie, they actually sent him a gift to commemorate and celebrate him starting production on a DC movie. That to me is fantastic. That to me is utterly fantastic. Because here's the thing. One of the things I have been saying for years, ever since the AMC days, and as much as the fans argue and bicker, saying, no, everything by Marvel sucks, no, everything by DC sucks, and all this kind of stuff, and thinking that, oh, if we can convince people that Marvel sucks, people will like DC more. That's not how it works, idiots. If people don't like DC, if you suddenly get other people to hate Marvel, they're not going to like DC anymore, and vice versa. It's not how it works. And what I've been saying since the AMC days is the fact that, guys, you got to understand, DC wants Marvel to succeed, and Marvel wants DC to succeed. Do they each want to be more successful than the other? Of course they do, but they want each other to succeed because they understand as a comic book genre, the more good films you put out, it's better for everybody. And they understand that. And then a couple of years ago, Henry Cavill, who was our great Superman, my favorite Superman of all time, he came out and said the exact same thing. He said, hey man, I love Marvel movies. I want Marvel movies to do well because if they do well, that bodes well for us. It bodes well for us that if we make really good movies, that more people will be interested in going to see them because they just had a good time in another movie. Anyway, I bring that up because James Gunn followed up this statement by making this other statement about the relationship between Marvel and DC. He said this: Marvel and DC fans have a lot more in common than they do not. I am now, and have been for almost all my life, both a Marvel fan and a DC fan. Maybe you like one more than the other. That's cool. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy them all or that you have to tear down the other. I know I and my partners at both Marvel and DC believe what's good for one studio is generally good for all. James Gunn is saying, hey, DC and Marvel, we all believe this, that what's good for the other studio is also good for us. We are in this together. We're not going to make their movies for them, but we are supportive of each other because we know Marvel knows, DC knows, and filmmakers know, like James Gunn, we know what's good for one studio is generally good for all, spurring each other on daily with heartfelt, spectacular, and innovative entertainment that keeps audiences around the world loving movies based on our inspired by sequential art. Hashtag Marvel, hashtag DC, let's go teams, in plural. Let's go teams, in plural. And I just want to read that one part again because I think it's so key. I know that I and my partners at both Marvel and DC believe that what is good for one studio is generally good for all, spurring each other on daily with heartfelt, spectacular, and innovative entertainment that keeps audiences around the world loving movies based on our inspired by sequential art. I think it's a fabulous statement. I think it's an absolutely fabulous statement. And I think it gives us a little bit of an insight into the world on that level. Because I know when James Gunn was doing Suicide Squad, there was a lot of talk around, oh man, Marvel must be mad. Marvel must be so mad. Oh, and then it's all clear. James is going to go back and do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Oh, DC must be mad. This is bad for DC. Meanwhile, James Gunn is like, what are you guys talking about? Marvel encourages me to make a great movie for DC. And he has talked about how DC is excited that James is going to go over there and then make Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And then he comes out and says, I know, and Marvel knows, and DC know, we all know up here, that's what's good for one is good for all of us. It's cool if you like one more than the other. But, you know, one of the things I've complained about for so long is that so many people identify themselves by what they hate. You know, instead of being identified, I'm somebody who loves Marvel. What they really do is identify themselves as, that means I hate DC. How does that make any sense? I'm a DC fan. That means I hate Marvel. What? Since when did that become part of it? It's not part of it. You can be a bigger DC fan. You can be a bigger Marvel fan. That's all good. Me, I've always been a comic book movie fan. I don't give two craps about which corporate logo is on the movie. Yeah, I know. I don't care if you like it or not. I know Suicide Squad's a bit of a hot mess in the movie, but I like it. And tough if you don't like the fact that I like it. You know, I know there's some issues with Endgame, but I loved Endgame. And tough if you don't like it. But John, you can't like DC and Marvel? Yes, you can. And you know who else knows that? Marvel knows that. You know who else knows that? DC knows that. And who also knows that? The filmmakers know that, like James Gunn. And I love the fact that we've got DC supporting James doing a Marvel film later. I love the fact that we see Marvel supporting James doing a DC film, sending him gifts, celebrating the beginning of production on that. Because like he says, they know what's good for one is usually good for all of them. Now, that doesn't mean that just because Endgame made $3 billion, that doesn't automatically mean that Harley Quinn Birds of Prey is going to make $900 million at the box office. No. But if Endgame came out and sucked and disappointed everybody and turned a bunch of people off comic book movies, it wouldn't automatically ruin Birds of Prey, but it would hurt. Just like everybody going to the theater and having a good time at Endgame, it won't make Birds of Prey and Harley Quinn huge and successful, but it'll help. It'll help. It won't mean the difference between Harley Quinn making $200 million and $900 million, but it'll help, even if a little. And these guys know it. And I don't know, to me, that's just really encouraging. Hearing this sort of supported stuff between the studios and the filmmakers, and they all understand we're all just here trying to make great comic book movies for our audience to embrace and enjoy and love. And I just hope we get to a point someday where people in the fandom realize that being a Marvel fan does not mean you have to, by law, hate anything that DC makes. And that being a DC fan does not, by law, mean you are supposed to hate everything by Marvel. Anybody who tells you that's the case, smack him in the mouth and tell him to shut up. Because it's not true. We're all here to enjoy movies. Who the hell cares what corporate labels on it? All we want is good movies. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Guys, what do you think about James Gunn's commentary there? I personally love it. Maybe you have some issues with it, and that's fair. Jump down to the comments section below and let me know what you guys think. All right, guys.